Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris and I am your host, and we're talking with Greg Hodge, who is a candidate for the mayor of Oakland. And Greg, we were talking about public safety and how that impacts. What do you plan to do about public safety?
Yeah, safety is a huge issue here. When I talk to people that move around every neighborhood, whether you're in an affluent neighborhood, a middle class neighborhood, or a working class neighborhood, a lot of people don't feel safe. Safety is both perception and reality. You have to feel safe. You have to feel like the police respond when you call them at night.
Yeah, but do they respond
and the
when
question
you call
is,
them?
They respond sometimes and sometimes they don't. It's the way I've been talking about this is sort of if Mrs. Williams, if you will, is somebody who lives in the neighborhood, she wants police to show up when she hears gunfire at night, but she don't want the police to mistreat her nephew. So we got to balance what it is that people want. We want bigger response time. We want to focus the best of our resources on the most serious crimes. The sad reality of the 34th homicide this year, as we sit here in early April, a 15-year-old girl right here in East Oakland who was visiting somebody in East Oakland, visiting from Antioch, was shot and killed and died on Sunday morning. It's unacceptable. Last year I lost a friend, Dirk Tillerson, home invasion out here in Maxwell Park. Middle class neighborhood.
I remember that.
And so when people don't feel safe in their homes, they don't feel safe in their person, you don't feel safe driving your car downtown because for fear that somebody's going to break in your car or rob you, we can't live like that.
Well, doesn't how we treat our streets and other things have some impact? For example, dumping. If we see litter everywhere, especially in certain areas of the city, doesn't that have an impact? And my question is, what should we be doing about this enormous problem of dumping in the city of Oakland?
You're absolutely right. It's sort of what we used to call the broken windows theory. So that if you have garbage on the street, if you have dilapidated buildings, if you have junk cars on the street, it adds to a sense of anxiety, it adds to a sense of feeling unsafe. And so part of what has happened in the last few years is when the city negotiated a new contract with Waste Management, the fees for both residential and business owners in terms of waste disposal went up. In 2025, that contract comes back into to be renegotiated. And I think that we need to make sure that we're comparable to what other cities have done. The fees for taking things to the dump increase. So I think some of these entrepreneurs who will come around and say for $50, I'll take your stuff and dump it, they're coming and picking it up and then dropping it under underpass, dropping it on the side of the highway. I think the surveillance—
Or they're paying $50 to pick it up in Emeryville and then they bring it to Oakland.
And they bring it to Oakland. So I think that enforcement matters. Because of city
and how would
budget
you
cuts,
enforce? How would you enforce?
We can bring back the enforcement strategies that we've had in the past. Part of what happened was the city budget cut the capacity to actually enforce the laws that we have on the books. And so we had to revisit all of these priorities, really rethink how we pay for what we really want.
Well, do you think we should have more cameras on the streets of Oakland? I know they have them in Emeryville and Hayward and everywhere else. Go to Oakland, no problem. We'll just dump, nobody gonna see us.
Right. Well, I know the city just implemented a new program that has surveillance cameras in hot spots, and I agree with that idea. I mean, obviously it's got to be balanced with people's privacy concerns and all that. But
when a person steps outside of the house, as far as I'm concerned, the privacy is over.
The privacy is gone. It just about is. And so I think that as long as we're using that information properly and really finding and making examples of those illegal dumpers, it makes all the sense in the world.
Okay, well, I'm certainly in favor of that. Now, let's talk about the contracting for the city of Oakland. City of Oakland does very little business for the last 20 years in tracking that. Dr. Ramsey, I guess, has done several studies on that. City spends less than 2% of its dollars on black contractors. That's a shame. That's a tragedy, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it.
It's unacceptable. The county,
but it's being accepted
because we do these studies and we look at procurements. We look at opportunities for new vendors to come in as subcontractors, and we need to have more policy through the Office of Equity. The city has an Office of Equity that really should be pushing this idea of how do we make sure that women-owned businesses, black-owned businesses, other people of color-owned businesses get an opportunity to do business with the city with their tax dollars. I think it's fundamentally something that we don't have political will to do it. That we have allowed Prop 209.
Why don't we? We're right.
We've allowed Prop 209 to tie our hands around some of those opportunities. opportunities. And I think this is the moment to make sure that we bring an equity lens, an equity focus to how procurements happen in the city of Oakland and in Alameda County.
Well, it just seems to me that it just goes in a circle. Mayors come, mayors go. City council persons come, they go, and nobody ever wants to do anything about it. And of course, people promise every time somebody's running for mayor, they promise to do something about it, and they don't. But I suppose that you're going to be different. I
plan to be different if elected. If the voters give me an opportunity to do this, partly because what I started this conversation with, this idea of transforming our systems. We can't do business as usual and think that we're going to have a different outcome. And that fundamentally is what's been happening. I'm one of those people that I'm running for mayor not because I want some higher office, but because I believe that I have the skill, experience, and temperament to actually make hard decisions that maybe some of my younger colleagues might not be willing to make politically.
Well, we're gonna find out.
I sure hope so.
We're gonna find out if you're elected. So don't touch that remote. We have to go to break. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host. This is All About Community, and my guest is Greg Hodge, who is a candidate for mayor of this great city of Oakland. We will be right back.